This is likely the most advanced 3D printer in the world. In under a minute, it prints out a super cool amphibious rapid response tank, equipped with various advanced weapons and a top speed of nearly 75 miles per hour. But what shocks the audience even more is that along with the tank, a super soldier is printed out. A dark knight glowing with red light appears before everyone. He is Aries, history's most advanced code-based digital human, created by Dillinger Systems. Digital humans like him possess power and speed unattainable by humans. They don't need food or water, can be mass-produced infinitely, and are destroyed immediately after use without taking up space. As Julian, the CEO of Dillinger Systems, speaks, Aries shoots him a glance unnoticed by others, seemingly surprised and dissatisfied with the cold, heartless speech. The clients are satisfied with Dillinger Systems' new product. But after the group leaves, the red stripes on Aries' body suddenly start flickering, and he begins to disintegrate violently. Even the giant tank behind him crumbles into a pile of powder. It turns out Julian hid a key detail from the clients. These AI products are imperfect and can only survive in the real world for 29 minutes. Julian has a headache over this. If he finds the Permanence Code, he can completely solve this fatal problem. Meanwhile, Aries, who just died in the real world, suddenly comes back to life. He is now in a world specifically for virtual digital humans, the electronic network world. Aries is the master control program of this world, and all digital humans obey his command. Just as Julian is struggling with the Permanence Code issue, his rival, Incomceo Eve, discovers a secret base in the snowy mountains of Alaska. She is here because this is where her genius sister Tess stayed before she passed away. Tess left her a very important gift here. A portrait of Encom's original founder, Kevin Flynn, hangs on the wall. He created the first virtual world of digital humans and lived there for over 20 years. His son, Sam Flynn, entered the virtual world, found his father, and brought a digital human back to the real world. Sam then handed control of Encom to the sisters and left. Now, to find Tess's gift, Eve searches disc by disc. She and her friend Seth search the freezing base for 4 full days before finally finding what Tess left behind. It is a piece of program code, and it is the Permanence Code everyone has been desperately searching for. Eve immediately begins an experiment. She uses the base's printer to print an orange tree, laden with fresh, plump oranges. Seth picks an orange and tosses it to Eve. They start a 29-minute countdown. When the time is up, the orange tree does not shatter or dissipate. It seems their experiment is a success. Tess really did leave Eve the Permanence Code. At this moment, Eve's rival Julian hacks into Encom's servers, trying to steal all of Eve's data to find any trace of the Permanence Code. He assigns this arduous task to Aries in the virtual grid world. Aries leads a squad to infiltrate Encom's virtual city, breaking a large hole in the wall and drilling in with his troops. The squad quickly takes down the guards and arrives at the database. Aries orders his men to stand by outside while he breaks into the massive Encom database alone. At this time, an Encom staff member on duty notices the intrusion alert and urgently notifies their superiors. The counter-intrusion team immediately activates the security protection program. Meanwhile, Aries has already browsed a large amount of information regarding Eve. He discovers that this woman's philosophy is completely different from his master, Julian's. Under her leadership, Encom uses AI technology not for military products, but for medical, health, and human education purposes. He senses a side of goodness in this woman.
I've got the file.
Having secured the data, Aries quickly leads the squad to retreat, but the opponent has already activated the defense program, and a massive number of digital soldiers charge at them. A fierce battle between digital humans is inevitable. One side uses red light staffs while the other throws blue light discs. Encom's digital humans are clearly no match for Aries' squad. The squad defeats most of the enemies and runs to the edge of the city wall. Several members summon aircraft and fly away rapidly, but Aries notices a teammate being besieged by opponents, falling far behind with one leg severed. Aries' lieutenant, Athena, screams for him to leave the teammate behind, but Aries still hurls his signature weapon. He runs back and saves his comrade. Unexpectedly, Julian considers Aries' action redundant and a waste of time, forcibly pressing the purge button. A heavy beam of red light smashes down from the sky, instantly destroying all the digital humans. This also causes the Encom server to completely crash. Aries respawns again, returning to his main city. Having completed the mission, he discovers that his injured comrade was not respawned, so he asks his master, Julian, about this.
Like any program
that operates outside their directive can be. Do you understand? Acknowledge master control.
Of course.
Aries gets an answer and continues to execute Julian's tasks, but his heart begins to change. Aries quickly browses and downloads all of Eve's information. He sees the story of Eve and Tess, and sees Eve weeping bitterly when Tess passed away. Ripples stir in his heart. He begins to slowly understand human emotions. Finally, he refocuses. By tracking Eve's returning private jet, he locates Alaska, expands the search, finds the secret base, and sees the orange tree that is still alive and well. Julian has finally found what he wants.
Checkmate.
Meanwhile, Eve, on her private jet back, receives a message from her colleague AJ that their company's servers have suffered an intrusion attack from Julian. The opponent is definitely coming for the Permanence Code. It seems their top priority now is to protect the Permanence Code. Upon arriving at the airport for safety's sake, Eve decides to split up from Seth to go to ENCOM headquarters. She personally takes the USB drive with the Permanence Code and hits the road on a motorcycle. On the other side, Julian's headquarters prints out Aries and his lieutenant Athena, along with the latest model of light cycles. They must find Eve and snatch the Permanence Code within 29 minutes. Two light cycles quickly catch up to Eve. Sensing something is wrong, Eve speeds up frantically. Her speeding also attracts the attention of traffic police. At this moment, Aries activates the extreme light ribbon mode. Seeing the enemy catching up, Eve quickly swerves onto a side road. Aries, caught off guard, brakes urgently. Eve runs into a parking garage with Athena in hot pursuit. Eve waits nervously for an opportunity on the rooftop. Seeing Athena reach the designated spot, she suddenly releases her motorcycle. Athena is heavily smashed by the sudden motorcycle and falls downstairs, passing out. Eve thinks she has taken out one enemy and takes a breath to calm her nerves, but when she looks down, the body is gone. It turns out Athena has quickly recovered and is sprinting upstairs. She is, after all, a digital human, different from humans. Eve is terrified, just as she doesn't know what to do. She spots the light cycle Athena left behind. She tries to lift the super motorcycle, but it won't budge. Seeing Athena getting closer, Eve frantically presses the operation buttons. By this time, Aries has caught up. He shoots light bullets trying to take Eve out, but Eve turns out to be a skilled rider as well. Aries suddenly stops his light cycle for a second because there is a cute child in the car ahead. He only continues chasing Eve after the vehicle leaves. Julian watches Aries' unusual behavior. Logically, digital humans should not feel any compassion for humans. It seems Aries has awakened his own consciousness. Julian feels he can't rely solely on Aries and orders his subordinates to prepare Plan B. Meanwhile, Eve presses random buttons on the light cycle and also shoots out a light ribbon. The two light cycles engage in a chase through the city. Later, both light cycles rush onto a pier, crashing into a pile of shredded paper and flipping over together. Fortunately, Eve flies into a dumpster and survives. Forced to the end of the pier by Aries and finding no way out, she snaps the USB drive containing the Permanence Code and throws it into the sea. Aries' time is also running out. At this moment, an aircraft flies over. It's the subordinates, sent by Julian. Eve watches helplessly as Aries collapses before her eyes, turning into a pile of powder. The people in the helicopter aim a laser scanner at Eve. This is Julian's plan B, to scan Eve as a digital human and suck her into the virtual network world. A fully digitized Eve appears in Aries' world. Aries personally installs a dedicated identity disk for her, completely activating Eve. Eve never expected to end up in this place. The reason Julian transported her here is that the Permanence Code is stored in her memory, so they just need to extract the code from her body. But there is a fatal problem. Once the Permanence Code is removed, Eve's digital body will completely dissipate. She will disappear from this world forever, and she will cease to exist in the real world as well. Just as Athena wants to execute the code extraction immediately, Aries suddenly stops her. He insists on waiting for Julian's confirmation before proceeding. Unexpectedly, Julian, a human, decides to execute the code extraction immediately, even after knowing it will cause Eve's permanent death. He has lost his humanity in his pursuit of the code. But the awakened Aries decides to refuse this order. He is unwilling to kill a real person. Athena sees Aries' anomaly and immediately reports the situation to Julian. Julian didn't expect the super program he created to betray him, so he grants Athena access to the storage area, ordering her to extract the code from Eve and then eliminate them both. Athena arrives with soldiers. Seeing the soldiers walking towards him with light staffs, Aries grabs Eve's hand and throws away his triangular disc. Eve falls from the high altitude into the digital river. Aries grabs her hand, pulls out a summoning baton, and begins a new summon. He summons a high-speed speedboat, racing across the river surface. Athena won't let him escape that easily. She immediately sends several light drones to pursue. Aries drives furiously with Eve. The beam of light ahead is the data transfer exit, the only way out of the virtual world. Aries will take Eve out of here, but first he needs to make a deal with her. At this moment, the drones catch up and start attacking Aries' speedboat. Aries quickly dives underwater, then accelerates sideways, bursting out of the surface. Although he destroys one drone, several more are close behind. Aries draws his triangular disc and slices through the surrounding pipes, causing a chain explosion in the area that completely wipes out all the drones. Finally, Aries rushes into the abyss with a screaming Eve. The 3D printer at Julian's headquarters suddenly starts printing objects on its own. Julian, unsure of what is happening, rushes to the scene. It turns out to be Aries and Eve, returning from the virtual world. It seems Eve has regained her human body, which astonishes Julian. He didn't expect his developed digital human to betray him and help someone from a rival company. Immediately, Julian guesses Aries' true intention. This digital human wants the Permanence Code for himself. He wants to become a real person, break the 29-minute limit, and live in this real world without restrictions. This is the deal Aries and Eve made. Aries has no time to listen to Julian's nonsense. He has 29 minutes left to take Eve away and find a new Permanence Code, or he will disappear from this world forever. And he can't go back to the virtual world either. It can be said that Aries has no way back anymore. Eve drives with Aries, speeding toward her company. Julian won't just watch them leave. He activates Athena, hands her a laser scanner, and orders her to capture Eve back to the virtual world to continue extracting the code. This time, he also provides her with a more advanced light fighter jet. Just as Julian shouts in excitement, his mother can no longer tolerate his reckless behavior and gives him a hard slap. On the other side, speeding down the road, Eve explains her plan to Aries. She is now rushing to ENCOM headquarters, where the founder Flynn's old office is located. Perhaps the Permanence Code can be found there, as her sister's inspiration for the code came from Flynn's programs. But Aries raises a fatal issue. The journey is far, and the car they are driving is too slow. They might not arrive in an hour. So, they immediately turn into a gas station and steal a cooler, faster car. Aries' driving skills are superb, instantly shortening the travel time to 16 minutes and 20 seconds. It seems they have enough time. Arriving at ENCOM, Eve enters Flynn's old office and starts the program on the oldest computer. Seth also assembles the laser scanner nearby. Eve's plan is to send Aries into Flynn's virtual world to try his luck. But just as they get the equipment ready, Aries' expression suddenly becomes grave. He senses that Athena has arrived. Athena flies to the window but stops her actions. She is waiting for the time to run out. As soon as Aries' 29 minutes are up, she can capture Eve without any effort. Eve urges Aries to stand ready and wait to be absorbed by the scanner. But at the moment when Aries is about to fade away, he still decides to charge toward Athena. At the very last moment, he chooses to protect Eve. However, he is ultimately sent into the virtual world. Now, only Eve and Seth are left to face the powerful Athena alone. Seeing Athena leave, Eve thinks she has let them go, but unexpectedly, Athena sprints back fiercely. Athena enters the messy office with the laser scanner. Looking for Eve, she spots the laser device that just transported Aries away and destroys Aries' chance of returning. Seth rushes out to fight Athena but is knocked away by a single punch. Terrified, Eve runs out of the office. Just as Athena reaches Eve and is about to strike, the fire sprinklers on the ceiling suddenly activate, and large amounts of water pour down onto Athena. Experiencing physical water for the first time, Athena momentarily forgets Eve and focuses on the sensation of water droplets on her body. In this moment of strange tactile sensation, she also awakens. It is only when the disintegration countdown alarm sounds that she remembers Eve beside her. It is too late. Before she can pull the trigger, she disintegrates into a pile of powder. Eve collapses on the floor, gasping for air. She has luckily escaped disaster. Meanwhile, in another world, Aries wakes up to find this virtual world completely different from his own, with a much more retro style. A light speck flies over and gives him a summoning baton. Aries summons the earliest first-generation light cycle. Guided by the light speck, he follows it into a hole and arrives inside a building. a figure slowly materializes before him. The visitor is none other than the creator of all virtual worlds, Kevin Flynn. Aries explains his purpose to this eternal sage. He is here to find the Permanence Code. Having awakened, his previous desire was to become human, but now it is more important for him to rush back and save his friend. Flynn finds this actually glitched program very interesting. Perhaps an imperfect digital human has the best chance of becoming a real person. He implants the Permanence Code into Aries' disc, but after becoming human, he cannot live forever. Aries makes the firm choice regardless. He raises the disc over his head and enters the return channel to the human world, just like the pioneer did decades ago. Meanwhile, at Julian's headquarters, Julian is disheartened after failing to snatch the Permanence Code multiple times. Suddenly, the computer shows a new print job starting. Unexpectedly, Athena is activated again, and this time, she is transporting herself back. She no longer listens to Julian's command and begins operating on her own, attempting to transport a massive spaceship over. At this moment, Julian's mother walks over, thinking her son is going crazy again, and tries to stop him. But unexpectedly, Athena draws her triangular disc from behind and kills the mother who tries to press the pause button on the printer. Julian cannot believe what is happening before his eyes. The Athena before him has only one goal: to seize the Permanence Code. But unlike Aries, anyone who tries to stop her will be killed without mercy. On the other side, Eve, still in the office, anticipates that Julian will send more digital humans. She thinks of using the laser scanner Athena dropped to connect to the rival company's server. Perhaps by shutting down their network, she can stop the digital humans from respawning. But at this time, colleagues see something flying from afar in the sky outside the window. Eve quickly hands the decryption work over to her colleagues and runs outside to see what's going on. Just as she runs downstairs, she sees a behemoth emerging from behind the building. All the pedestrians look up at the sky, seeing for the first time such a massive flying craft hovering over the city. The crowd scatters in terror. Athena spots her target, Eve. 2 fighter jets fly over from a distance and fire missiles at the giant spaceship, but they are intercepted by light fighters. The light fighters and combat jets engage in a fierce aerial battle.
Viper 1, tally multiple bandits. Excellent. Viper 1, punching out.
However, the combat jets cannot adapt to the opponent's peculiar fighting style at all. Seeing Eve running through the city, Athena fires countless light missiles. The light missiles pierce through the city in an instant, quickly catching up to Eve and surrounding her heavily. At this moment, a missile suddenly hits the light spaceship. Another fighter jet has flown in. Realizing he cannot match his opponent, the pilot flies his fighter jet straight into it.
Punching out.
This method succeeds. The light spaceship's right wing is severely damaged, catches fire, begins to plummet toward the ground, and finally collapses completely. But Athena charges out again in a light tank. Like a queen, she arrives in front of Eve. She ties Eve to the tank and drives toward headquarters. She intends to scan Eve back into the virtual world again. The light tank is powerful. No amount of police cars blocking the road can stop it. Just then, on its path forward, a person slowly walks over. It is Aries, returned. Aries draws his disc from behind. Surprisingly, his disc now emits a blue light. He has switched sides and become one of ENCOM's people. Athena does not slow down at all, charging straight at Aries. Aries attacks, slicing through the entire tank. He reaches Eve's side. Fortunately, she is unharmed. But before they can say 2 words, Athena walks out of the ruins. At this moment, 2 digital humans also fly to Athena's side. The disparity in strength widens instantly. Aries quickly stands up and tells Eve to leave. He will face them alone. Aries engages in a fierce battle with them. Having become human, he dares not relax for a moment. He barely fights off 2 digital humans before being kicked away by a lunging Athena. Athena picks up a red light staff. Just as she prepares to deal the final fatal blow to Aries, Aries spots his blue disc lying nearby. He quickly grabs it to block in front of him. Aries and Athena tangle together again. Ultimately, Athena is no match for Aries and has one arm severed. Just as Aries prepares to finish Athena, countless light missiles suddenly fall from the sky. It turns out Eve's colleagues have hacked Julian's virtual world and completely shut down his network, meaning Athena can no longer be activated to return. Finally, she collapses into Aries' arms, turning into a pile of black powder and vanishing completely. It is all over. Since all of this was caused by Julian, a large number of police cars arrive at his headquarters to arrest him. Cornered, Julian suddenly sees the computer showing that the network backup is ready. He comes up with an idea that no one would expect. He activates the machine again, but this time he changes the settings, turning it into a scanner. So, When the police rush in, he gets scanned into the virtual world right in front of everyone. Aries becomes a truly ordinary person. He begins to travel the world, earnestly experiencing what it feels like to live as a human being. And he is not the only person having this experience.